Let's go to local government. In Queensland, the Mayor, Tom Tate, the Mayor of the Gold Coast, that is, Tom Tate, has been investigated by the Office of the Independent Assessor, which is sort of a governing body that looks over and assesses misbehaviour within councils in Queensland, and has found that Mr Tate committed misconduct. He was discriminatory by describing a new councillor as a Ranga. Can you believe it? You can't call someone a Ranga anymore. Now, all of this started from a post that was put online by John Paul Langbrook, who is an MP on the Sunshine Coast. He's a mate of this new councillor, Joe Wilkinson, and he was just pointing out that another Ranga has been elected to the Gold Coast Council because he replaced another Ranga who was the former councillor for that ward. And then Tom Tate, the mayor, jumped on board and said, oh yeah, another Ranga, so-and-so. So he was then questioned about this at a press conference where he again used the offending word Ranga.
Oh, I didn't even know he was a Ranga. So what can I say? It doesn't matter. Diversity. Bob Lacastra ran. Bob Lacastra's opposition ran on diversity. And in Bob's words, he was on stage, he goes, diversity, I don't know if anyone noticed that that he's black. So we've got diversity here, you know. I think Owen Jones, retired councillor, he was a Ranga. You know, lose one Ranga, get another Ranga. What the hell, that's what the Gold Coast is all about.
I mean, seriously, who could take issue with that? Lose one Ranga, get another Ranga. I thought it was fine. And by the way, Tom Tate is of Asian descent himself, so surely he has a free pass to say whatever the hell he likes about anyone. He certainly would have faced a lot more discrimination and racism in his life, particularly as a child growing up in Australia. You can imagine the slurs that would have been thrown at him. But he calls someone a Ranga, and the Office of the Independent Assessor has gone after him. They've now referred it to the council and suggested that they discipline him. He has said that he will fight any action they try to take. And it's worth noting that the councillor, Joe Wilkinson himself, has said that he is a quote-unquote proud Ranga. He was never contacted by the Office of the Independent Assessor about this complaint. It was an anonymous complaint that someone else put in saying that the use of Ranga is comparing red-headed people to orangutans. And we now have a situation where a public investigatory body in Queensland has spent public money looking into a mayor because he called someone a Ranga, and the Ranga in question wasn't even offended.
Do me a favour. This is the culture now. The person who's supposed to be offended doesn't even need to be offended. In fact, he wasn't even asked about it, but somebody else is up in arms about it and wants their day in court. And we're now... Honestly, if I was a ratepayer in the Gold Coast, I would be up in arms about this too. What kind of nonsense are you spending our dollars on, thank you very much, during a cost of living crisis, no less? We're supposed to be concerned about this? I'd love to hear from a coalition of Rangas say, is this offensive? Do you find this offensive? I personally adore Rangas. I literally cannot see a natural Ranga in public without walking up to them and being like, you are a god among men. And there's like a 16-year-old finishing his Slurpee at Macca's with his mates being like, yeah, thanks. Because I just think it's incredible.
If you're a red-headed male and you fancy Liz Storer, now's your chance.
See this brilliant colour of hair, and they're just like represent. You can't miss them. I would be proud as heck to be a Ranga, and that's exactly what the councillor in question has said.
The big question for me on this story is, are you still allowed to call people like a copper top? Is that okay?
Well, could you call him Bluey?
Like copper top.
Seriously?
Ranga. The Office of Independent Assessor found that they found 4 things. Number 1, Ranga means orangutan. So effectively you're calling someone a monkey.
I have literally never put that together until tonight.
Thank God we have the Office of Independent Assessor to make such decisions. Second, they found that the term Ranga is associated with discriminatory feelings. So now they're ruling on the feelings of an anonymous person who we don't even know if they were present when this slur was made. They certainly weren't offended. Third, they found that the use of the word in this context was not funny. So now the independent assessor are ruling on what is funny and what is not, without even asking the person who was the subject of the word. So the other funny thing about this is the independent assessor found that in 2021, so they went back 3 years and found Tom Tate has previous form, because 3 years ago he made a joke about Chinese people. Yeah. Saying you wouldn't want a cat near them because Chinese people might eat cats. He apologised for that, said it was inappropriate. But the Office of Independent Assessor said, you've got form. You've been saying naughty things previously.
But he's an Asian man.
Through his...
He's an Asian man who made an Asian joke.
But the fact that you said something 3 years ago ought not influence the independent assessor's decision on what you said today.
We don't even have digital ID yet, and they're able to be like, there's that thing that he posted 3 years ago. I mean, this is just utterly... This is the laughing stock. This is absolutely... Everyone in government at every level, state, local and federal, should just be like, can you not do these things? Because it just makes us look more of a joke than we already do.
The person who made the complaint should be charged with being a public nuisance. Yes. And you should not be allowed to make anonymous complaints, especially like that, about public officials, because essentially you put them through, I don't know how many... Well, this complaint was made in April, the press conference. So presumably it's been months that Tom Tate, who's supposed to be running one of the largest cities in the country, our tourist capital, he's been dealing with this rubbish. God knows how much money's been spent on it. Find the anonymous complainee and send them the invoice.
You can't even call a Ranga anymore. I mean, look, this is if you're the complainant and you're watching, here's something for you: Ranga. Send off the complaint.
There's no way the complainant watches Sky. Let's be honest. If they were a Sky watcher, they'd have far better things to do with their time.